the second or first official class after your testing. And Ms. Montague asked a good question that I'm going to be looking into, because she actually had her testing with her physician a few days after the testing that Union did here. And they're a little bit different situations, so we're going to try to find out and make sure the accuracy or how it relates to the testing that's done, and you get your instant answer versus waiting for the doctors to send it off. So we'll find that out, because that's important to know. I know that Union does that. As I mentioned to her, they do that so they can give you that information right there. Like if they're in a health fair setting, especially if it's a person that may not have insurance, then that's the only way they're going to get tested. So I have passed around a sign-in sheet, and you should also, each person should have a folder you can put your information in. You can hang on to it and bring it back each time, because we'll add to it. But also an ink pen that you can use today. What I've already passed out to you is kind of the slides of what I'm going to be talking about today, in case you want to refer back to it or make a note on that. But we'll be going over it up here. So what we're going to do today is start into this first part, just as a quick reminder of the objectives that we've talked about. Improving self-care for those with type 2, reducing negative outcomes for those who have type 2, and maybe reducing the progression from prediabetes to type 2 diabetes. And you know, there's one important thing. You all are taking an important step. If you have type 2 diabetes, you've probably heard this before, okay? You've probably heard it before, but I hear many people say, I need to hear it again from time to time, to reevaluate and go forward. So I applaud you all for taking your Saturday morning and being here to maybe get another shot in the arm and being reminded of this. And what I hope that you will do as I go through this today is think about something that I say today that you go, you know, I tried to do that, but I need to start over again, okay? Because at the end we're going to talk about, and it's very individual, what one thing you as an individual can take and try to implement over the next month specifically, okay? So let's, as a reminder, we're not trying to implement anything that or overdo anything that your healthcare team has told you. But today we're going to consider how to manage our eating and glucose level, talk about the amount of calories that each of us needs to maintain our weight and have the energy that we need to do what we've got to do. And this last thing, we're changing it up. This was the original plan, was for you all to sample some steamed and sauteed vegetables. But I have a different idea today. We are going to sample a couple of cool salads with fresh vegetables. And yesterday, the UT Kitchen Divas, which is kind of a joke, we always do the food demonstrations at Summer Celebration. Well, we got together yesterday to sample our recipes. I had leftovers. And, you know, really I just give people a good sample. I decided to share with you guys. So we'll do something a little bit different. So it's kind of one of those things to get us in the mood for tasting good things during the summer. So, just as a reminder, we talked last time about that insulin is that doorkeeper that helps glucose get into our system and help us maintain our energy level with dietary management. And some type 2 diabetes, along with a little medication, we can manage that. But really the idea with dietary management and medication, if your doctor prescribes that, is when we eat, and we've got a little, it looks like one of those little game things, we eat, our blood sugar spikes, then it comes back down and we may crave or need to eat again, and so on and so forth. We're really trying to keep this blood sugar level between 70 and 130. That's where we're trying to keep it for ourselves. That is the purpose of our management that we're looking at today. So we're trying to keep it steady, and steady is the main term there. So I wanted us to look for just a few minutes at our plates, because that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where people start saying, Amy, you're stepping on my toes. So I'm going to give each of you a paper plate. Everybody has a ink pen there. And this is very individual, and I'm not going to be checking. I'm not going to be checking what people put. But what I'd like for you to do, this morning, is think about the last main meal that you ate. Maybe it was breakfast today, maybe it's supper or lunch yesterday. And what I'd like for you to do, think about that meal. And then I want, pie chart. You know what I'm talking about. I want you to make a pie chart on your plate of what the different parts of your meal was. Did you have chicken? Did you have salad? Did you have green beans? Make your and kind of make it proportional. I'm not checking your drawing. We're making a pie chart and then writing in. When you make, a half my plate was chicken. Write chicken. A quarter of my plate was green beans. Write in green beans. Whatever your plate looks like. So I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay.
I'm excited about that.
You're happy to share? She did good. She did good.
Oh, he said him when he ate.
This is not meant to embarrass or concern anyone. It's just a reference. Now, we're going to come back to it in a few minutes, but go on and finish up. A few people are still working on it. Okay, so we are going to come back to that in just a few minutes and look at that plate. So, along with trying to control our blood glucose levels, watching what goes on that plate and being aware, that's the main word, being aware of what's going on our plate, helps us to control our weight. We also need to think about watching our portion sizes, and the key thing is eating nutrient-dense foods. Nutrient-dense foods. Those are the three things that can really help us in controlling our blood glucose levels. So, we're going to look at those three things. Let me go back to that real quick. Those are the three things we're going to really focus on in our lesson today. Okay? So, first of all, controlling our weight. Our calories that we consume, what we eat, what we drink. That's where our calories come from, right? The calories that we burn off are from two different things. Number one, our bodies use energy just to get up out of bed in the morning. That's exciting news, don't you think? They burn calories just getting up. So body functions, our heart beating, getting up, just our day-to-day activities, making our meal, eating our meal, we burn calories. But the rest of it is our physical activity. And we know this, it hurts our feelings to think about it sometimes. But I want to applaud Miss Deborah. She and her family had the Montagues, and they were a Walk Across Tennessee team, got a few extra steps in. But it's important for us to recognize 3,500 calories equals a pound. Now, that's 3,500 calories whether we're gaining weight or losing weight, okay? The good news is our body's burning them, whether we're really physically active or not. But this, you know, a lot of people say, I don't know why I'm gaining weight. It's a math problem. If it was just that easy in reality, right? But this is important for us to think about. If we needed to lose, if our doctor says, you need to lose some weight, well, in theory, okay, this is in theory, if every day for a week I burned off 500 extra calories and or ate 500 fewer calories, I'm not about not getting what I want to eat, but let's do a little bit of both. In theory, I could lose a pound in a week's time. Okay, so that's the theory. Now, at some point, our body's metabolism changes, and it may not be so simple. That's why as we get older, our metabolism slows down on us a little bit, but it's also the reason why people go on crash diets. They will lose weight, and they will gain it back. Because what happens is when we really restrict our calories, our body goes, uh-oh, there's not enough food in the world. And our body knows, because God made it that way, to slow down the metabolism. So that's why people can lose the weight, but it's going to come back. And that yo-yo thing is just as bad for our bodies as having the weight. Okay? Any question on that? All right. So that's the general idea of weight control. So, if we want to maintain our weight, we just need to balance our energy in and our energy out. If we want to lose weight, we need to take in less than we burn off. Y'all can do the math, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the idea there. So what I'd like for us to do next, I've got a sheet I'm going to hand out to everybody. Again, I'm starting to step on toes. My apologies, but it's got to happen. So, I want us to look at this sheet. I'm going to give you a couple to pass on back. I think there's 3. There you go. What I'd like for you to do, on this sheet at the top, in this top little box, it has genders and ages on the left-hand column. Everybody can see that hopefully on the front, okay? But across the top, you'll see it says sedentary, moderate, and active. The definition of sedentary is light activity associated with your day-to-day activities. Be getting out of bed, preparing a meal, getting ready, going to work, you know, coming home, doing around the house, that sort of thing. Moderate is 30 to 60 minutes. Maybe in your work you are physically active. Or maybe you go to the gym and you get 30 to 60 minutes, and this is most days a week. 60 minutes is these people that, you know, they're doing manual labor, or they go to the gym every day religiously and work out for an hour. So find where you are. Find your gender and your age and your activity level, and then that's going to show you where that intersects. That will show you your number of calories that you need to maintain. And you can just circle that number on your sheet if you would like to do that. Everybody find yours? Was it about what you expected or not?
Yes.
that what you thought?
I think it's a little higher than.
And some people find that as well.
It looks a little higher.
Okay. Then, as you'll notice, y'all automatically get extra calories. Go figure. Go figure. Eve, dadgum you. Alrighty. So if you'll notice down at the bottom of that page, I've got the slide up here that says, how much food do you need? If you'll notice at the bottom of that sheet, it's got calorie levels across the top. And then you can find your calorie level and see how much food that translates to in a day. So find yours. What do you think about the amount of food it's telling you that you can have? As you're reading that, does it have meaning as you're reading that? Sometimes cups and ounces and things. Y'all being quiet this morning.
Well, according to what a lot of times I eat, I can see immediately that I actually should do less meat. I kind of almost hit the vegetable level.
Good for you.
But I don't hit the milk level.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be the increase. Hit and miss the fruit level.
Okay.
Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
Probably don't hit the grain level. That would include bread.
It would include bread. Yes, ma'am.
I'm probably lower in that area. But,
Right.
But to me, I guess the biggest thing is the meat.
Okay.
Is probably my overindulgence.
And for a person with diabetes, being under in that area is okay. It's probably a good thing. Especially if the vegetables you choose to eat are starchy vegetables. And we'll look more at that next time as well.
Can that milk be any dairy?
Any dairy, yes ma'am. It can be cheese, it can be yogurt. We want to watch the amount of the ice cream, but ice cream, frozen yogurt. And the concern there is getting calcium, particularly for females, but males need that as well. If you just can't do that, there are some of the fruits and vegetables have a little bit of calcium, not much. And you can get some of that in the fish that has little bitty bones in it that are so small you don't even notice them. So
That would be a mackerel or
salmon
or sardine.
Yeah.
And we don't eat that.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying. So it's an option.
I probably
So
get
when we
too
go-
many fruits.
Oh, okay. Okay.
When we go to a buffet and we're determined to get 3 cups of an item, so how do I determine with a spoon or whatever the utensil is that I'm getting 3 cups?
Right. So next time I'm going to bring a sheet that's going to give us some symbols to use, but I'm going to answer your question. Now, again, men's hands are usually bigger than women's. But the typical woman's hand, if you make it into a fist, is about a cup, give or take. So we would get 3 of these, and a man might get 1 or 2, depending on, I know my daddy's hand was huge, especially when he was spanking me. But anyway, so that's a rule of thumb for that. Thank you for asking that question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on your meat,
Yes, ma'am.
those ounces are divided by 3 meals?
Well, if you chose to have them in 3 meals. Some people might say, well, I'm going to have steak for supper, so I'm not going to have protein.
During the day.
Right.
Okay.
However you choose to do it. Because the typical, I asked y'all to do the pie chart. We're not going to, most people are not going to get each of the categories every meal, and I know that. So this is over the course of the day, whatever that means to you.
Okay.
However that fits in your schedule and your life. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to give you one thought,
Okay,
coming from a catering background.
okay,
When you go to a buffet, the utensils that you use to put food on your plate is typically a fourth of a cup.
okay. Those spoons that are kind of larger, okay.
It's
Okay,
typically,
thank you.
each spoon typically will provide you with 1/4 of a cup.
Okay.
Also in eating out, restaurants now are required to indicate the amount of calories
Yes,
for
they
the
are.
meal that we purchase, which is a helpful thing.
It is wonderful. It's a great idea because we can't act like we didn't know. I did a program several years ago. There was a popular book series out called Eat This, Not That. And the only thing that I really liked about it was it really brought the idea of how many calories and making choices and thinking about the choices that we make when we do eat out, because so many do. That's just become our habit rather than cooking at home, which I try to stay away from buffets just because. But thank you for sharing those thoughts. Anybody else see something with what, you know, when you look at your general eating, if you're getting enough or not enough?
What is meant by milk? I don't
The
drink
milk,
milk.
well, that's
a glass of
that
milk.
was what that's any of the dairy products. Your cheese, your yogurt, ice cream in moderation, any of those.
Okay.
Yeah, they just use that phrase, so. Now the term, like even meat and beans, we call that protein foods, so.
What about eggs? One time you see it on TV, eggs are good for you, the next time you know you see
Right.
on TV, eggs are bad for
Right.
you. They
Okay.
can't make it. Nobody can make up their mind what the eggs are for.
Well, the research changes, so that's, yeah. So the eggs are a protein food, and unless your doctor has said you've got to watch out for cholesterol, you personally, you can eat them, okay? I wouldn't have them every day of the week, 2 or 3, but having them throughout the week, occasionally, everything in moderation can fit, unless your doctor has told you or your dietitian has told you to avoid them, okay? I had a gentleman one time that he didn't know that eggs had cholesterol. He hadn't paid attention to what you're talking about. He didn't realize that he had high cholesterol, but he ate 4 eggs every morning. So, moderation is the main thing there. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions before we move on? All right, so you'll notice on the back of that sheet, just circle the amount that you can have. It's about being aware of it, folks. It's about being aware of it. And then there's some other healthy foods they mention on the back of the sheet. You know, things that we want to base our diet on: vegetables, fruits, legumes. They call them legumes. Tubers, whole grains, fish and seafood, poultry, eggs, dairy, herbs and spices, and healthy fats. We're going to talk more about those in the other 2 sessions. The things to try to avoid, we know them. Added sugar, refined grains, trans fats, processed meats, and other highly processed foods. We've got to read the label. And we're going to do that, not today, next time. We'll make sure everybody is very comfortable with label reading. Any other questions? All right, so, okay, now I'm really going to start stepping on toes. This is where we start to look at our plate and thinking about a healthy plate. But I wanted us to talk about portion sizes. And this goes into kind of what we were talking about on the buffet or at the restaurant. You know, we biggie-sized foods, the extra value, this or that, and we biggie-sized ourselves. At least some of us have. But this on the left-hand side